world famous Sunday morning masshole by your favorite masshole himself, the Dubba Dubba. Really bugs me I can't get Mary because she always be done stuff and junk and things. I did have Carrie yesterday, and that was interesting, but it's just like, at the same time, it's embarrassing. Why are you so fucking dumb? How can you be made to be so goddamn stupid? It's crazy. But this is the sickness. This is the thing that is just, I mean, I can't even. Religion. Ask yourself why. Why it even exists. It's not real. It's not good. The narrative behind it is fucking stupid. I found a new channel today. Luminary Lighthouse on Facebook. And he does a really good job. I got to give him credit. But I'd be willing to bet that just like everyone else, he's a Christian, tells me, satanic pedophilia, talks about it's the Zionists. I mean, it seems pretty standard at this point. Standard practice. I would love for intelligent Christians to come through here. Yesterday I had a woman who is like, it's such a strange thing. It really is, because I know her personally. And I've talked about her before. She's the one that I want to interview because of the way she looks. She's so beautiful that she was, I guess. She says I haven't seen her in a long time. She says she's gained weight because of the medication that she takes, because after she got the vaccine like a good girl, she started hearing voices in her head. In her 40s, she started hearing voices. That's not how hearing voices, schizophrenia kind of shit works. Morning, Karen. Yo, yo, yo. If you get the voices in your head shit, usually the onset, especially for women, is like that. In men, it's earlier. It's like 18s or something, 18, 19, 20. In women, it's like 25 to 30. But it's not 40. Right. You don't suddenly start hearing voices at 40 after getting your shots. And the voices would tell this girl that she's ugly. And I just can't even, like, I don't have any pictures to show you guys, but nobody would think she's ugly. Most women would hate her because she looks the way she does. And every single, there's not a dude out there that would be like, nah, I'm not fucking her. Especially in her prime. I mean, I would imagine, I imagine she looks a lot better than she says she does. She's fucking 45 years old, It's weird how it's actually like, it fits, right? It fits with the narrative, like why women have been made to be so superficial. Because women are such a powerful thing. Women are the key to the revolution, honestly. And to keep women in their place, you make them superficial. You tell them they don't look good enough without makeup on, that they look better with a whole bunch of paint smeared all over their face. Like it's fucking paint. They paint their faces. Yeah, it's really fucking sad. But the thing is, and this is what I'm experiencing, like with my wife. My wife was hot shit back in her day, and now she's, for a 52-year-old woman, she looks great. Where she doesn't look like she did when she was in her 20s. And like, because of the mentality that's been put on her, she's my wife. Like, of all people, she's my wife. You would think my wife wouldn't be like that, But she's a human. She's a female. And she's been made to think that, like they sell special makeup for women, of advanced age, because the makeup that's marketed to everyone, like the main makeup, doesn't work on older faces, which should tell you something, right? The vast majority of the makeup is designed for younger people. Why would younger people need makeup? If anything, older faces are going to, the ones that have the wrinkles and the blemishes that show up over time. But because of that fucked up mentality, like, she can't see herself in that way. And of course, the old adage is that men get more handsomer. Men get better looking with age, and women just sag. Like, that shit, none of us do look the way we did in our 20s, right? But like, that's what I mean. Like, there's that weird mentality where it's like, but you're not in your 20s, so you shouldn't expect to look like it. Like, if you looked in your 20s as you look in your 50s, you'd have been an ugly 20s. To age their skin so as to sell them the makeup for older skin. Yeah, I mean, yes, there's the monetary aspect, but it's deeper than that. It's like when women finally get to that age where they're like good, right? Like they have their shit all figured out mentally. They have, they're good, they're strong. Like, they've broken free of the little girl bullshit. Shit, they might even stop perioding. Right? But they can't be like the champions they should be, because women have been made to be so superficial. It fucks up the mentality of these women. These women, they can't be like, they can't evolve because they're so stuck in this thing. I mean, again, imagine, like, for dudes, again, imagine that you have a situation where this magic paint used to make you look a certain way that you found acceptable, and then suddenly that same exact makeup just doesn't work anymore, right? Crack and meth and all of it, obviously. Crack, meth. There's some heroin thrown in there. I actually I distill beer and I process it into a smokable, and then I smoke that as well. Talking about politics. What the fuck does that even mean? Right? Like, you're dumb? Are you trying to say how stupid you are? Are you like crying because you can't best me in any sort of conversation like that? Stand by your van. This is yep, this is Iran, apparently. Politics, religion, it's all the same shit. Oh my god, this guy's about to get fucked up. Wow, that sucks. I was watching UFC yesterday because it was on fucking regular TV. Holy shit. And of course, they have this big ass, like, Trump shit. And if you watch UFC, all of the fighters, you know, when they win, they run right over. Like, not a single person involved in the entire thing is like, hey, fuck that pedophile piece of shit. When he walked in, there was cheers and shit. Why were there so many cheers? You know, at this point, do you honestly think like American soldiers dying is a good thing? They're sending our kids off to die strictly for Israel. There's no, like, we have no reason to be in this thing. Iran didn't do anything to anyone. You know, this is all Netanyahu's wet dream, and it's really, really obvious. Like, it's not like this is something that's a conspiracy theory or anything like. This is actually what it is. If I ask you why the fuck we're at war with Iran, you don't know. Happy day of the sun of you. You have any? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That, you know, rant is part of that, rant and yapping and all that. That's part of the act.il narrative. That's the shit they're told, because a lot of people will respond to that. You know, a lot of people will respond to the idea that you're ranting and fuck you. They get upset about it because it's not meant to be. You know, it's not like, oh, give me another one of your beautiful rants. Rant isn't a good thing. Yapping isn't a good thing. So they say these things to, you know, it's just psychological shit. Roll out Melania. Right. Well, I don't think he had anything to do. Melania does what Melania wants. Melania is the handler. Just like with Ghislaine, Melania is the boss. Melania is the Israeli handler. Like, there's no, you know, you can't tell me why she's with Donald Trump for any other reason. You can't say it's because she's attracted to wealth and power. Yeah, there were lots of guys, especially when she got with him, that were a lot wealthier and a lot more powerful than he was. And she wouldn't have had to get naked for the world. And you know, everybody forgets that in 2000 he ran. He's lost more than twice. Because he lost in 2016 as well. But the swamp, the Apex swamp that he was going to drain, put him in anyway. But he lost in 2000 as well. And Melania was all naked. But she's just as dumb as, like, it's weird. It's weird that somebody, I don't know, maybe it's the whole George Bush thing again, where, you know, if they portray themselves as really stupid, then you can't make that connection that they're the maniacal, conniving, you know, control arm of the thing. That's why you only have 4 people watching your channel. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably not censorship. Nope. 2,500 subscribers plus. They're all like, man, I subscribed to this channel because this guy was talking about these things. But now that he's talking about these things, and it's all happening just like he said it would, now I'm not going to watch. And then if I do, like, happen to come onto the feed, I'll say, hey, man, wow, I haven't seen your videos in a long time. I haven't, you know, I've looked for them and I can't find them, blah, blah, that kind of shit. It's all just part of the show. 4 views, 3 likes. Now I have 2 viewers and 3 likes. All that just totally makes sense, right? That's how this works. She was a model. Yeah. But she was too... What, like, it's not like she was, like, the most gorgeous in the world. Her modeling career began at like 28 years old or some shit. Long past the prime of most models. I am weary. I could sleep for 1,000 years. Look at this guy's in a bad situation. And there's nobody there to help him. And it must be like ripping up his arm for them to blare it out. Ugh. That would hurt so bad. Oh yeah, it ripped his shit all up. Damn, son. We're quoting Kraftwerk now. Yeah, she's a model and she's looking good. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, it's ridiculous what we're presented with, right? Ugh. Yeah, I'm in my fucking 40s, and trust me, to this day, oh, I would still take your girl if you liked girls. Your boy too, actually. Your boyfriend would like me too. But you know, obviously you watch me, so you like looking at me.
I like looking at you.
Shut up, whore. That's how I talk to you. We were talking about you a minute ago.
Oh, I'm sure it was all good.
It was. It was. I always say terrible things about you. It's crazy, man. The whole thing is just crazy. The fact that women have been like that, the makeup industry as a whole exists is just, it's shocking. It's shocking, you know. How do we allow ourselves to be told that we're not good enough so frequently? Cat Williams is better. Cat Williams is trash. Cat Williams is a company man. He's a company man. He does what he's supposed to do. He brings the focus on to black people. When everybody starts talking about the friars and how the friars are raping children, Cat Williams comes out to be like, oh, hey, Steve Harvey. Oh, hey, everybody look over this way. Focus on black people. Look at me, I'm a little clown. Look at me, I look like a clown. Like, it's fucking crazy. Hey, K's out there. Ugh, that's gross. It means pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. 100% doing his job. Represent the Pride community. Cool, I hope so. I hope the Pride community is fully behind me. I love how, like, again, are you in middle school? Do you honestly think someone this old is going to be like, hey, I'm not gay. Don't say I'm not gay. What the fuck? Like, is that how that works? I get that you're not smart enough to be able to engage in the full conversation because you probably don't know most of this shit. You probably don't know most of this, so it's difficult for you, but it's really strange, right? Yep, super gay. Super gay. Yep, oxygen tank. Yep.
Did you see her PT?
Oh yeah, no, I saw it yesterday. It's the worst car I've ever made. Those things suck so much. PT Cruisers are awful vehicles.
They're known to catch fire.
They're not known to catch. They have though, but they're not known to. But they're just terrible. You know, I've parked many of them in my day.
We had one.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
you talking about?
Right after the Audi. Paula gave us her PT. We had it for a week, and
Yeah.
then we had John's
I don't think it was a PT.
tempo. It was. Yes, it was.
Was it?
Yep. A red PT Cruiser.
Yeah, they're the worst.
We had
Just
to
the
use
worst.
a hammer to hit
Train
the
of thought. I lose
thing
train
in
of
the
thought in my
ignition.
conversations all the time.
You remember that?
Hmm.
I called her. I said, "You left a hammer in the car."
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's to start it.
Hey, look, the raping rabbi's back. The fake rabbi character who said that raping children was an act of God has returned. Yeah, no, I lose track of thought all the time, and I ask you guys to fucking tell me. I'm like, hey, what it happens. It's because weed doesn't do that. Like, if you're a dumbass, weed will make you dumber. If you're lazy, weed will make you lazier. If you're smart, weed will make you smarter. You send love from the pagan community, right, Arm? My wife's a pagan.
Fucking heathens.
This guy said, God is great. Grate. And you can't blame that on the computer because the computer doesn't make that mistake. There was a restaurant in Virginia called the Great Steak Company or the Great Steak, something like that. And it was spelled Grate. And whenever we'd go there, I'd be like, can I, like, as soon as I'd be like, okay, so let me ask you something. How's the steak here? And what should they say?
Great.
Exactly. That's what they should say. You work at the place, you say it's great. And they'd be like, oh, it's pretty good. It's really, like, every time, nobody ever got it. So stupid. If you're watching, like, share, and sub, help out. I'm surprised we're allowed to have this kind of viewership today. Usually when it gets like this, they get a little iffy.
I mean, I have to say that I have never heard that people from West Virginia or
Not West Virginia.
either one.
West Virginia is way
smartest.
worse.
That's not their call to fame.
Yeah, this is the channel for people who think we should kill pedophiles and eliminate the Friar control scheme. The Friars. Themish. You know who I'm talking about. Let's see. Weed kills the soul. Yeah, it does. Weed doesn't make you dumber. It makes you a criminal. No, it doesn't. It's legal. Auto spelling in Swedish. Oh, yep. It's the phone's fault again. Yep. The Swedish auto spelling decides it spells all the other words correctly, but it spells great incorrectly. Gotcha. See, it'd be one thing if these dumbasses, when they got called out, they would acknowledge it. Because then you know it's like a real, decent human who can admit their mistakes. But when they try to lie and blame the computer, it's always worse.
Police responded to sounds of a child coming from a van found a 9-year-old boy locked inside since 2024, lying in a fetal position, naked, covered by a blanket, on top of a mound of trash in Detroit. Fucking
He
pedophiles.
is
I don't
wrong.
know.
Nature is great.
Something is happening because every day there's been reports of caught pedophiles, so they must be making some sort of concerted effort
Stuff got knocked over.
to bust these motherfuckers.
That's what they always do. If you guys remember, when Trump first got in office the first time, the Me Too thing was real big, and Pizzagate was really, really big. And the FBI, the Trump, the whole scheme, if you remember, they said they busted a group of 500 people out of California. Remember that? 500 people associated with this huge pedo ring were busted. And then the story just disappeared. And right after that, you had Ashton Kutcher come out like he had been gone forever. Think about how like they think it's funny to do this. So Ashton Kutcher, claim to fame is from that 70s show where he was 23 and he's on camera making out with a 15 or 16-year-old Mila Kunis. According to her, he taught her how to kiss. She hadn't gotten that far yet. So he had to teach her how to kiss. He groomed her. At some point, Ashton is suddenly associated with Demi Moore, who you can find one of the earliest videos of Demi Moore available. It's actually a home video where they're at some sort of restaurant and there's this Fryer kid. Pretty sure it's his like 14th or 15th birthday. I'm not really sure. He was part of the crew of the movie that she had just gotten done filming. I can't remember all those details. But the entire thing, she's like wasted. She talks about her fiance or whatever, but she's like trying to seduce this 14-year-old kid. It's fucking crazy. So you have Demi in that regard, who is literally one of the most beautiful women in the world, and then decides to get fucking volleyball-sized fake tits put in that look like a deformity. Like when you see her in whatever that fucking movie is, and she rocks, oh my god, she looks disgusting. Fake tits are gross. I just hate fake tits. I love Tiggos, but I hate fake tits. So Ashton is now associated with Demi, who is like, she'll be walking and Ashton will be behind her with her kids, and he looks like he's one of her kids. Like he's closer, much closer to age with them. So this thing goes on. I think they get married, right? And then eventually they divorce or they break up. And then Ashton ends up marrying Mila, the girl that he taught how to kiss when she was 15. I can't remember if she was 15 or 14. She lied. Apparently she was able to lie and somehow say she was old. I think she was 15 and lied and said she was 16. So then you have Ashton Kutcher is doing this thing that like he comes out of nowhere talking about this program that he has to save children, blah blah blah. And it's the weirdest, like fakest looking setting. And if you pay attention to the chick behind him with the brown hair, she busts up laughing at just about every horrible thing he says. The whole thing is fucking crazy, and they make it sound like they're about to do all this, you know, they're really gonna, the 500 pedophiles got busted, and Ashton is meeting with Congress or whatever, and suddenly, it all just disappears. And it's what they do. They present us with shit that makes it look like they give a shit, and then they just yank it. It's okay to drink alcohol daily. The chosen. You're not a race. Just so people understand, friars aren't a race. You can't convert your race. Right? You can't convert your race. I can't just sit here and be like, okay, guys, all right, I'm going to talk like a horrible stereotype, and I'm going to do this. And now I'm Chinese. You call me a Chinese or else you're going to get in trouble. That's fucking awful, right? Nobody would accept that. Because you can't change your race. You can't convert your race. I could start claiming to be Jewish all day, though, couldn't I? And apparently, you know, you guys love to pretend like I am, which I wish I was. I wish I could say I grew up in the cult, had all that fucking advantage that comes with it, And then I was smart enough and I was good enough of a person because it's not even about intelligence, right? It's not like it's hidden. You guys go to parties. They have they have it's called a bris where family and close friend, usually family, goes to a party 8 days after the kid is born where the moil does Brit Milah, which is the cuddy thing on the wee wee. And then Brit Milah has 4 steps. To do the mitzvah, which is a religious commandment of theirs, you have to complete all 4 steps. The third of the 4 steps is matitza, which is the sucking. So the moil sucks on it, and then they pass the kid around like, hey, it's not as traumatic as you think, hey. Outside of the suction part, it's actually, if you're going to do the ritual, it's much better than what they do to us. You know, babies are born, and a couple hours after they're born, one of the first things they experience is trauma unlike anything we can even imagine. Then they're just left to deal with it till they come out of the shock. And then they bring the baby into the parents and they go, oh, look, little man's tired. Him to have his surgeries. Not 5 minutes ago, I had 25 viewers. Isn't that funny? As soon as I say, hey guys, share the video, it's like it triggers something. And suddenly a bunch of people are kicked off. Or they all just leave at the exact same time. Greetings to England. Can you explain what really happened to Charlie Kirk? No.
He died.
I don't even know if he's dead. I don't even know if what we saw was reality. I know he wasn't shot by some silly fucking gun. Not like they tell us. I think there was obviously something under his shirt. I've said that since the beginning. What the fuck was under his shirt? If you actually watch the slow motion video, you can see the black dot on his shirt moves across his shirt and then moves up, and that's where the blood starts coming out. Blood. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh. Oh. Karen sent a photo. She must be responding. I'm just way delayed in the comments, Karen. Let's see. You want to see him again? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know they did that. Wait. Karen got a message that says, 3 years ago, you deleted 562 photos. Do you want to see them again? Well, if they were deleted, how could I see them again? A bunch of sad, judgy Satanists. Man, Satan is the dumbest thing possible. Seriously, it's one thing to say you have an imaginary friend, but to have an imaginary enemy, that's like psychotic, man.
I kind of like his tail. Sorry, but it's kind of cool.
I like his mustache. He's got a nice mustache.
I like his little triangle tail.
His triangle tail.
Yeah.
What about your achrome? Yeah, I mean, if Melania isn't the poster child for achrome, I don't know what is.
That woman wears a ton of makeup.
For medical purposes only. Oh yeah, who are you to decide why somebody does something? Who are you to fucking decide that somebody's medical needs are what they are? You don't know shit.
It was both prescribed to us by a doctor. Got our medical card, so yep.
But even still, if I just want to smoke a joint to get high, who are you to tell me I can't? I can go buy a beer and drink that. I can go buy manufactured poison, but not a plant. Are you crazy? It's crazy that things you have to do to impress your wife. It's crazy that things you have to do to impress your wife. True prayer would completely kill the need for cheap weed high. Says the guy who said raping children is not rape, it's an act of God. The guy pretending to be a piece of shit. A rabbi. This guy is pretending to be a rabbi. And we should listen to what he has to say. Israel Hayom, Bottom of Darkness, that's something everybody should read. The link to it will be in the description after the fact. If you need it now, go to a previous video, you'll find it. It's the third link in the description. Israel Hayom is it's the smoking gun. It's one of them, but it's the second link in the description will be to Hollywoodism, the most important film ever made. That film will tell you why you dumb goyim think the way you do, why you believe in Jesus, why you think George Washington was real, why you think, fucking any of it. Any of it. Any of the shit you believe is because of Hollywoodism. And they flat out tell you that's what they do. Right? It's they've used Hollywood to control us, to create the world that they want to live in. Essentially, you could say the American dream is the Freya dream, is something said multiple times throughout the video. But that explains why we are the way we are. But it doesn't explain why they are the way they are. How you can have an entire population that lives off of genocide, that thrives on genocide. Right? They're monsters. And you have to ask yourself, like, again, how do you know that your community is murdering people, is constantly caught in rape situations, is all of the stuff that's associated with that, and you still believe it? How do you still accept the idea of Matitza? That's okay. Like, how do you create a group of psychopaths that can say, "Oh, your house was bombed," and then benefit from it? Like, they don't care. Oh, just go buy a new house. Just go move in, because that's how they think. Right? That's their. They think. They know what they experienced is way worse than what you're experiencing. Whether it's your house getting bombed, or I was wondering what that was. Nice. Or starving, or whatever. They say, well, geez, your house got bombed, but you can go buy a new house. You're starving, but you can get food. Were you viciously, violently, ritualistically raped from 3 years in one day till 12 years in one day? And of course you'll say no, because you're not a friar. You're not a part of their cult. But the vast majority of them have experienced this. And those that haven't, they know about it. And I would imagine knowing about atrocities like that and not doing anything about it is really psychologically damaging to people. And to me, like, if you know about something horrendous like child rape, then, and you don't say anything, you're just as guilty as the people doing it. And Israel Hayom tells you about this. Israel Hayom was written in April of 2025 by them. In again, Israel Hayom is the number one free daily paper in Israel, distributed everywhere for free. And if they're talking about it, you can't hide behind anti-Semitism, this, that, and the other. I'm just going to skip over. There's a lot of comments that I'm just going to skip over here so we can get to the bottom. Right? Like, I mean, my whole thing anymore is that we should be trying to save the Jewish children. If anybody disagrees with me, I'd love to hear why. Why would anybody think we shouldn't save Jewish children? I think as a community we need to really look at what's happening and you know, ask ourselves if we're okay with it. And you know, the Jewish children are in desperate need of protection because it's creating the people that can say, you know, I don't care if your house was bombed, go get a new house. Of course we deserve $3.8 billion a year. Of course we shouldn't have to work, and we should just be able to live our lives the way that we want to live them, in the lap of luxury, right? How many of you are okay with giving $3.8 billion a year cash money first fiscal month of every year? They get a lump sum cash payment. They tell you it's for military aid and this, that, and it's not. Just because you call the money military aid doesn't mean it's not fucking money. And if you give them all the military aid, then the money that they would spend on military, they don't have to. They could spend. So it's all just money. It does, like, you have to sort of wake up. Man, I'll never ask you guys to like, share, and sub again. Because that always seems to knock my feed way down. And the children are voiceless, indeed. And not only are they voiceless, but they have an entire culture around them that was built on this shit. You know, people forget just how easy it is to manipulate kids. Like, remember, we tell our kids that some fat white guy goes to every single house on Christmas night, Christmas Eve, and goes through the chimney, even though lots of us live in apartments or houses that don't have chimneys, puts the box down, takes a couple and feeds the, and if you're nice, you leave a carrot for Rudolph. That's what we always used to do. My oldest, when he was like 3, was like, nah, Dad, there's no Santa Claus. It's you. We were just like, what the hell? Oh, look, somebody's flying the pedo flag. The blue and white pedo flag. It's an acknowledgement that they rape children, or at least, you know, support the raping of children. Right? But think about how like dumb kids are. Kids believe that because they have no concept of a much bigger world than they can even fathom. They have no concept of 8 billion people. They just their world is here to grandma's house, you know? They don't know anything else. They can't even like think about it. I don't know what you just sent me, Karen. Looks like a picture of my head. Let's see. Oh, what's in it? You can do that with, okay. What are you even doing on here, dude? Let's see. I'm doing laundry. Do you like the laundry? Like, anybody that's going to come in here and tell somebody else to stop talking about killing pedos is probably a pedo. And what you don't understand, again, is that the pedo problem is so much worse than you think it is. So much worse. There's a reason why every pedo hunter can successfully, continuously catch people. DAP keeps showing it. The guys from DAP keep showing that part. That they show up and they set up their shop. They randomly pick a place. They go there. They set up shop, and within a half hour, 45 minutes, they're already on the way to meet somebody. Ew. Never forget that the fake God that we created and the book that we created says we're the chosen people. Never forget that. Right? Come on, explain. Tell us why Matitza's okay. All of you people that are here defending Israel right now. Tell us about Matitza. Tell us why Matitza's okay. Tell us about soul correction every 2 weeks. Every 2 fucking weeks. You know, adults standing in a big circle naked while naked children are in a circle, and they read psalms and do all these crazy things, and obviously it goes in worse places. Tell us about it. Tell us about the Talmud. Oh, look, now it's funny. Oh, now they're doing funnies by posting pizza slices. You talk about children being violated and they just randomly start talking about pizza. What do you think that is? Who do you think is proficient in having fake profiles that they can use to manipulate and get into different situations? What are you trying to show me, Karen? I don't get it. It's funny because I'm right. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know what's funny about it, but like, these are sick fucking pieces of shit, man. These are sick. I hate calling them people. Oh, Karen's finally back. Yeah, I don't know what you tried to send me, Karen, but you know, this is a sick cult. This is the thing, is like, even right now, fucked up part is they're hiding behind the genocide. Everybody's talking about the genocide. And what's crazy is you're seeing all these friars that are like, oh shit, I think we're losing. Oh, we're opposed to the genocide too. Where were you like a year ago? 2 years ago? 10 years ago? 75 years ago? I am volunteering Guy Warrior to fight for the Iran army. Like, again, this is the dumb shit that they say. Right? It's Team Hooray, but I think it's more act.il. If you've been here for a while, you've seen it too. There's a huge uptick in the admitted friars on this page, saying weird shit since act.il was reinstated. They booted me immediately. That's what they do. I'm laughing so hard, all I gotta do is post the pedo flag. Like, again, what is funny about that? If this is funny, like, if you think it's funny to be called a pedophile and all that shit, I hope you keep saying so. I hope you keep showing it and keep being dumb enough to say so. But, like, if you think that's, like, that flag is why we're talking, this is what we talk about every day. It has nothing to do with you posting a flag. F-R-E-I-E-R-S. Friars. F-R-E-I-E-R-S. Karen got booted again. Look at that. How many of you keep getting booted out and then have to come back? How many people might be new here, get booted out, not understand what the fuck happened, and just move on to the next video? They make me fucking sick. Yeah. But, you know, again, this is stuff where you just have to take the wins as they come. Right? Like, they wouldn't bother doing it if it wasn't bothering them. Right? This is they're way too pig-headed and arrogant to come on here and be like, oh, you're right about this or you're right about that. Do you want to share? Do you want to share? I'm asking, do you want to? It's easier this way. No, it's just easier this way. That's all. It's nothing. You know, ask yourself about these things, man. Who is okay with any of this? Like I say, all you have to do is look at the amount of pedo hunters that exist. Right? There are countless pedophile hunters online. I can think of like 5 just off the top of my head. And guys that have been doing it forever, like Justin Payne and you know, Depp and Pop Squad and Predator Poachers, and even though that's Alex Rosen and yuck. You know, but there's just so many of these groups out there, and they're finding people daily because your family, your friends, the people on your block, a lot more people than you realize are at the very least trying to talk to teenagers, send pictures back and forth, blah, blah. You ever wonder why people freak out if you grab their phone? Like, if you grab my phone and start looking through it, what the fuck? I don't have anything to hide. I don't give a shit. I don't even have a password on my shit. I don't care. There's nothing in there that I'm hiding. You can do all the search history you want on mine. You won't find shit. But I think the vast majority of the people that you know, like of that majority, there's a large portion that's worse than you think. Right? It's the phone. It's so not YouTube. I've had it happen too. Yeah, it's the phone. Every time they pull me out, I push myself back in. That's very. Was that from like a porn version of Heat or whatever movie that's from? Canned Heat. Oh, Canned Heat. I owned Canned Heat. Not a good movie. Oh, that's so fucked up, man. It's all so fucked up. So, speaking of which, I wanted to. I've been coming up with a whole bunch of shit lately that I wanted to talk about. But let's start with Pale of Settlement. So I was going through and reading about the Aliyahs that you always hear that term. First Aliyah, they're gonna make Aliyah, whatever it is. And I don't think people understand what that's about. And I know you don't, because I didn't. And I've been in this world for many years. You on the fringes, you don't know any of this shit. But Aliyah is basically them returning to Israel. Or returning, settling. There's no return. The whole notion of return is just silly.
It wasn't theirs to begin with.
Right. They say it was. But
What?
For the same reason they say they have a right to defend themselves. They have a right to that land. By who? Says who? Because the book you wrote, right, says that you do. Like, it's really bad. But part of the manipulation that we're all been victimized by, especially if you're, around my age or older, you were, in school every year, you would have a month-long section on World War II and the Holocaust and everything that whole narrative and how they're special and they deserve special treatment and look what happened. Oh, they're poor. They were just trying to do this, and because of what those terrible Germans did, the Palestinian people hundreds thousand miles away, they have to pay the price in 1948. And I remember always sort of thinking that part was weird, right? Like, why aren't the Germans paying for it? But all of us thought that Israel was sort of settled in 1948. And yeah, you hear stories about how friars and Christians and Muslims all lived in Palestine cohesively and all that. They did, all live there. But it's not nearly as cohesive as you think. And that's what the actual historical narrative tells you. These aliyahs are these large waves of roughly 10 to 15,000 per year of these, and like the whole idea of it was that it was to be, that they were going to create a utopia there. And a utopia for them where they don't work. They live at the top of society, but they don't work for it because they study all day. So the only way that can happen is by enslaving other people. And that's the difficult part about reading the history, is the history is provided by them. The reason I prefer Wikipedia is because I know, let me show you why. It's just easier to show you than to tell you, right? Naftali Bennett. Currently, he's a former Israeli prime minister. At the time, he's a future Israeli prime minister. Has always been a high-ranking settler baby. This is him talking to IsraelNationalNews.com.
YTH, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn.
Okay, so you know that everything on Wikipedia is balanced and Zionist in nature. Every time, if you really break down that video, it's easily probably the most important video that you can find on YouTube. Not movie, not film like Hollywoodism, but just a short little 30-second clip. Because of everything that's said. Not just the things that are vocalized, but the what's actually being said. And if you notice, throughout the video, he says, at certain points. And all of those points are points where he's deciding what the best word to use is. So when he says that they have arranged, he means they demanded. So they could teach. Again, they're not teaching Wikipedia editors, who are the #1 source of information in the world at the time, how to do their job. Right? It's like a guy trying to put shorts on, one-handed.
While talking.
While talking.
Concentrating on something else.
Okay. But at the end he says, you know, to make sure everything is balanced and Zionist. He thinks about it. He thinks, do I say like is fair for friars, paints Israel? No, you know, fuck it. Balanced and Zionist in nature. So, you know, when you understand that means they control Wikipedia, and that everything that you read is balanced and Zionist, especially the stuff that has to do with them. Right? So everything I'm reading you from Wikipedia, it might not be the actual 100% truth, but it's the truth that they want us to have. And just a real quick sidebar, Zionism is an ethno-cultural, completely locked up page here, no editing this page. And you can't edit Wikipedia anyway. You can suggest an edit, but you don't just make edits on Wikipedia. Is an ethno-cultural nationalist movement that emerged in the late 19th century Europe to establish and support a friar homeland through the colonization in the region of Palestine, which roughly corresponds to the land of Israel, and friarism itself central to friar history. Because friar history is different than history. Zionists wanted to create a friar state in Palestine with as much land, as many friars, and as few Palestinian Arabs as possible. See it? That's the narrative. That's the definition they want us to have.
Good morning. I'll be down in a second.
Like, that's how they want us to think. That's when they said, oh, when people look up Zionism, we want them to think this is what it is. Seems pretty crazy, doesn't it?
Morning, Trouble Father.
Yes. All right. I'm going to spank you and beat you a little bit later, but for right now, you can just chill.
Forget to use the rope.
Like I'm going to forget to use the rope, Nick. Come on. What fun would that be?
He wanted to try living in New York. And how did you feel about that? It scared me. New York scared me. The first time I came to New York was to identify Finn's body. This is my second time. And I wasn't sure how he was going to do it. I was going to pay for it. But he kept telling me not to worry about it. So I tried my best not to.
All right, sorry. The Jews worship the golden heifer, not God. I mean, they don't worship the golden calf. It's all stupid. You know, the biggest issue too, well, one of the bigger issues is that it's not all of them. I mean, yes, they all participate in the horrible ritual shit. Yes, they're all awful. But the vast majority of them are just victims of the same system. Friar supremacy doesn't mean all friars are supreme. It means I'm friar and I'm supreme. Like the Netanyahus and shit. They're friar, right? They're supreme compared to everyone else. That's what it means. Their group is supreme. And so all those Hasidic baby makers and shit, you know, they're just as much victims as everyone else. Right? They're the worst. They are the worst people in the world. And you know what? I would be reading Pale of Settlement here, but you know, I have 11 people watching and 9 likes, right? What do you think the chances are that all these random friars would find my page and come here and start crying? Why would they be here? What would be the racism? Can't be racist when we're not talking about a race of people, are we? Friars aren't a race. It's a choice. It's a cult. Friarism is a cult. Christians aren't a race. Muslims aren't a race. They're all the Abrahamic religions anyway, so, you know, it's all the same bullshit. What I think is really interesting, though, is how quick and you know, like partially correct white people, Christians are when it comes to how awful Muslims are. Like they you know, all you really have to do is look up Muhammad and Alicia, right? And you know, anybody who doesn't think there's something really wrong there is not someone that you should trust with your children. That's for goddamn sure. And just for those that don't know, Alicia, I think it's Alicia, was Muhammad's favorite wife. And she was 6 years old when she started to be groomed for him. And in his 50s, they consummated the marriage when she was 9 years old. You guys cool with that? Who thinks that's wrong? How many of you think it's awful what the Wahhabi Muslims do to little girls with the female genital mutilation? Right? It's disgusting. It's horrendous, right? The friars do it. They call it female circumcision. The fuck you think female circumcision is? The binding of Isaac ritual. What the fuck do you think that is? Times were different. They also stoned people to death. Right, they stopped doing that, but they still do these other things. These other things still happen. And to think that, like, if you believe in something where the highest authority in the belief structure didn't think it was wrong to be 50 years old, 50 plus years old, and raping 9-year-olds that had been groomed since they were 6. If your God thinks that way, well, doesn't that sort of justify it for you? And it's strange how all of those, all 3 of the Abrahamic religions have these pedophile narratives. You guys understand that Mary was probably 12 or 13 when she got pregnant? Probably 12, because if she was 13, she would have already been having babies with her Joseph, who is 10 years older than her at least. This is pretty standard fucking practice here. This is pretty fucking standard. Oh, it's not true, is it? It's a lie, is it? What part's a lie? Mary was a friar. In the friar communities, especially back then, that's how things worked. That's why the Talmud, where it says, if a goyim violates a child, they should be killed. But if a friar violates a child, if the child is under 3 years and 1 day old, it's basically a wash. You know, they say it's like a poke in the eye is the quote from the Talmud. It's like a poke in the eye, right? After 3 years and 1 day old, the violator, if they are now responsible to pay the full dowry of that of that child to the family, which is generally 50 shekels to 100 dinars. It's not a lot. If it happens after they're 12, which is when they get betrothed, so at 12 years and 1 day they get betrothed to whoever they're going to be married to. And if the assault happens before the marriage happens, the violator is now responsible for paying a double fee. They have to, it's twice as much. But after the fee is paid, the victim now basically belongs to the violator, somewhere in between a wife and a slave. Now go ahead. Tell me what's not true. That's not in the Bible. Yeah, it's not in the Bible, but it's standard practice. If you're going to believe in the fairy tale, then you have to, plug it into the time frame that it's supposed to be in. Mary wouldn't have been a virgin if she was any older than 13. That's not how the community works. Misinformed, show the proof, the chapter and the verse. She was not 12. Her age isn't mentioned. Right. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they don't mention her age? Because you have to, again, apply it. In those communities, at 12 years old, they are betrothed, and at 13, they are married. And they start popping out kids. Just look at Rabbi Shmuley's parents. Rabbi Shmuley said that he was the youngest of 5 children. His mom was 24 when she had him, after they had taken a break from having children. So you would assume it has to be over 3 years. 2 years would be like a pretty standard, if they're having kids every 2 years, women can't have children every 2 years. Actual pregnancy is about 10 months. And there's that, you're not having sex with her, the day after she pops out a kid and shit. You might be if you're an asshole, I guess, but. So, Rabbi Shmuley's mom had him at 24, meaning she was 23 when she got pregnant. And again, it had been they were taking a break. This was after they had decided to take a break. If it would have been a standard 2 years, then it wouldn't have been a break. So it has to be at least 3 years. So that would mean his first oldest sibling is 3 years older than him. Meaning mom was 21, maybe 20 when she had him, but 20. You have to then apply at least 2.5 years. Well, at least 2.5, more likely 3 years in between each child. So at 21, there's 3 more kids. So you're talking about 8 or 9 years from when she first started having kids. That would make her around 13, 14. And her husband, Rabbi Shmuley's dad, is at least 10 years older than his mom. Which again is very, very common practice in their shit. Atheists are just, can you show chapter and verse to back up your claims? Which part? Which claims? Again, they don't put the age of Mary in the Bible. You have to know things. There's, the thing about Christians is Christians don't seem to understand that there's a history outside of the Bible. And the funny part is, none of that history actually talks about Bible stuff. Egyptian history doesn't talk about, 2 million plus slaves, friar slaves, and Exodus, and the firstborn plague, killing the firstborns, and Passover, and all that shit. You guys know that every single year, Passover is basically the spilling of blood. If you look at every single year of Passover, there's always a really, really high increase in Israeli aggression during Passover, which is weird because you would think it would be the polar opposite, right? That there wouldn't be, like, this is their holy time. This is Passover. But if you know your Bible, Passover is a celebration of, so the friars were the slaves, and they wanted to not be slaves anymore, and they kept pleading with the Pharaoh to let them go. Let my people go. And the Pharaoh was like, no. And so eventually, dickhead douchebag Yahweh steps in, and he's like, all right, well, there's going to be fucking plagues beset Egypt until, it's going to get bad for Egypt until they let the friars go. And the angel of death is going to come by, and he's going to kill all of the firstborn males in Egypt. So the way to let the angel of death know to pass over your house is there's one lamb. They talk about one baby lamb slain. Take the blood of the lamb and smear it over the doorstep, over your front door on that thing. And that way the angel will know. So they had a baby lamb that had enough blood to smear on a bunch of different doors for some reason. But again, they're smearing blood over their doorway. Spilling blood. And then it leads to Goyim death, right? The firstborns are killed, blah, blah, blah. That's their ritual. That's what they're celebrating with Passover. If you actually look into their shit, like they present it to you like Hanukkah. Hanukkah is a celebration of light and festivities, and no, it's not. Hanukkah is a celebration of the Maccabees, the Maccabee Revolution, in which Friar Maccabee, Johann Maccabee, so the Seleucids had said, hey, listen, we'll let you do all your silly shit, but you got to stop circumcising. This shit is wrong. You have to stop circumcising. This is an awful thing. And the 109 countries in 1,000 years thing, a lot more of it has to do with circumcision than's let on. Circumcision is one of the worst things we do as a society. We should not be circumcising, traumatizing our children, mutilating our children. It's a horrible thing. And the only reason we do it is because apparently Abraham had a meeting with God on the God phone that only they can make. And God was like, yeah, you know how I just destroyed the world with Noah? Well, if you don't want me to do it again, you, especially you people, you have to circumcise all your kids, all your males, and you might as well circumcise your slaves too. And if you do it, I'll show you rainbows, and me showing you rainbows means I'll never destroy the earth again. And so old-ass 90-something-year-old Abraham circumcises himself, then goes and circumcises his 90-plus slaves he has. Walks around with a bag of foreskins and shit. It's fucking gross. It's so gross, right? It's all just so nasty. But Hanukkah, in 230-something, whatever, minus 230 BC, the way the story is told is that they weren't allowed to worship on they were forced to worship on Sundays. How do you force somebody to worship? They were forced to eat non-kosher products. How do you force somebody to eat non-kosher products? And circumcision had been outlawed, which is something you can actually enforce. And so one day, Johann Maccabee is at the sacrificial altar that exists because, you know, sacrificing live things to the gods was a big thing back then. And during the sacrifice, there was another friar there. And he was like, hey, this is bullshit. We should be able to circumcise. And the guy was like, what about the food and the worship? Nah, fuck that. The circumcision thing really has me upset. Hey, buddy, let's revolt. Are you willing to circumcise with me? And then, you know, we'll start a revolution for circumcision? And the guy was like, no, they treat us good. And that shit's kind of weird anyway. So Johann Maccabee killed him, then killed the guard that was there, apparently. Then went home, circumcised himself, or his family, all the males, and they decided to go around the countryside, freshly circumcised, on their horses or walking or whatever. Actually, they'd be walking because horses weren't even used there yet. Maybe some camels, I guess. They went around the country where they somehow knew where all the different friars lived and went to their homesteads and gave them the option. Circumcise and join the army, or we kill you. And they ended up killing a bunch. Like friars were killing friars who refused to circumcise. Refused to do it to their children, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, they built up enough of an army that they could attack the Seleucid Empire, but they just kept getting their asses kicked. And so they do what they always do, and they went all the way up to the top, and they started manipulating things at the top, spreading lies and doing all this shit to get the people at the top to turn against each other. And when they did, then they took over and they won the right to circumcision. But that wasn't good enough for them. They was like, all right, fine, you can have your way. And they were like, no. And they went around destroying shit. And, you know, it was really bad. But that's what Hanukkah is a celebration of. Every year in your city, when they post their put up their big menorahs that the city pays for. In Detroit, we have a big 30-foot menorah that gets set up with fucking gas fire coming out the top. Who pays for all that? We do. But that's all a celebration of circumcision. Y'all are the reason Satanists exist. What the hell does that even mean? Like, it's amazing that somebody can be so stupid that if somebody says, I don't believe in your fairy tale, they go, oh, it's like when you say to somebody, you know, Trump's a piece of shit, they go, oh, so you're a Biden supporter? Like, no, dumbass, I don't believe in any of that shit. No, I don't believe in the evil bad guy that's responsible for all the bad things you do. You fucking morons. They have to hate on me for calling out the atrocities committed on this earth. Because if they don't, then the realization that they support that shit is right there, right in front of their face. And they have to reconcile with the fact that they support pedophile organizations. If it weren't for their blind faith, them and lots of people just like them, or maybe as a believer, if they actually put in the effort to try to expose the shit within their organization, they might be able to override the organization. The problem is, these organizations are built on pedophilia. Why do you think the church wants guys who are willing to be virgins their whole life? Play dress up and be virgins. You're overriding the God-given urge to procreate so you can be a virgin for the rest of your life. And then you have all these dumb people that are taking advice, especially marital advice, from a goddamn virgin. Like, just think about how broken that shit is. Right? Would you get your car worked on by some kid who just got his license and actually never drove before?
Okay, so now imagine hundreds of hackers doing that 1,000 times.
Read the Epstein files and worry about what's that. He ain't right, but not wrong either. What part am I wrong about, you dumbass? What am I not right about? The sooner we as a species get past these religious fairy tales, the better off we'll be. Exactly. Exactly. But that really means, like, if you're going to say that, you have to be able to take that to its fullest. And the fullest example of that is the friar chosen people who exist in a world above all of us. Because of their belief structure, we just accept the worst things in the world from them. Like, I always think it's strange that cops, when one of them is drunk driving or one of them does something really wrong, they aren't mad. And like, you make us look bad by doing this, and how dare you? They're not mad. They try to protect that person. Same thing with Christians. Why do Christians always try to protect the pedophile priest? Unless it happens to their kids, then they want everybody to help. Oh, we do have a Team Jorge dumbass here. Anybody that would call this a bong is a bot. The bots can't distinguish between bowls and bongs, especially the Israeli ones. In our evolutionary brilliance, the gods were inevitable. However, evolution proves them all false, inevitable. I mean, again, at some point you have to start saying, like, they're not just lying about the religious control scheme. They're not just lying about, the fake space travel bullshit. They're lying about everything. And when the reason Tartaria is such a great distraction is because it's true. The best distractions are the truest, realest things. So when you have shit like the pedophilia in the church, well, that's absolutely something that should be being focused on, right? That's absolutely something that needs to end and all that. But unless you're willing to talk about it from the top down, if you're just going to focus on the tentacle that is pedophilia, you're never going to get anywhere. You have to cut the head off the monster to kill the tentacles. You can't kill the tentacles one by one. It'd take too long, and it's not very efficient. It just doesn't work. We've proven that we're not good at it. But people, once you go down the Tartaria path, that has to kill everything for you. Like when I find the people that are like, yeah, Tartaria, Jesus, like how do you're saying that it's all fake, they're lying about it all, but somehow the truth, the solution to the problem that the system gives tax-free status and puts on every corner, that's the solution to the problem. Somehow that slipped through the cracks and made it all the way to us 2,000 years later. Well, you don't understand what most people don't understand. I think friarism was created in the mid 1800s to late 1800s. And it was or again, if that's around when whatever reset happened, and this was the small group that was chosen to lead the show, basically, to be the controllers of the reality TV set that we're in. And it was you know, it if you look at the narrative, the Aaliyah waves and all that, they sort of just appear out of nowhere. One quest for personal salvation or the human condition is top tier narcissism. What? One's quest? I mean, no. I mean, I personally, I think that the truth, the solution to the problem is what I've termed to be true selfishness. I think true selfishness is how we fix the problem. True selfishness is you know, me wanting myself, my wife, my children, their children and children and children and so on to live the happiest, healthiest, safest lives they can possibly live. And the only way that could ever happen is if everyone else is living the happiest, healthiest, safest lives they can live. So I want that for everyone. I want everyone else to, you know, like my TV watching experience isn't any better because I have a TV that other people can't afford. That doesn't make the TV watching experience better. You know, it's that kind of mentality that needs to be adjusted. You know, showing off for other people like they give a shit is weird. But that's what we're all sort of told to do. Like, think about the fact that they've gotten not just like it's obviously it's so much is focused on black people in the negative. But this actually bled into other cultures as well. That to show that you're a fucking boss, you get yourself a gun that you can load money into and shoot money out. Think about fireworks. We all love 4th of July. 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays. It's awesome. I love enjoying it, but I don't like buying it because you're literally, that's money up in smoke. You're burning money. And you pay a lot of money to buy these things that go boom real quick. Then you have to pay extra taxes and all this other dumb shit, right? Like these are all just tricks. Look what they did to black people when it came to the music industry, right? You get some sort of, they allow you some sort of opportunity where, again, you're just indebted from the beginning. The contracts suck, all that. But when you do get some money, what's the first thing you do? Oh, here, call up my cousin Ari. He will give you a great deal on the jewelry I know you're ready to buy. You just go buy some worthless rocks from their cousins. You give the money right back. I talk about this all the time. The first guy to win, the first black dude to win Survivor, they made a big deal out of it, right? Like it was a thing. Like it was an accomplishment for black people that a black guy won Survivor. It was so stupid. But he was the special guest on 106 in Park one day with AJ and Free. And if you ever watched any of it, that dude's not like some street guy. He obviously grew up in the rural areas of the world where he learned, you know, the skills you need to have to be on Survivor. He hung out with a lot of white kids, is what I'm saying. But he went on 106 in Park and he walks out and he's like, yo, 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 yo. And of course, AJ and Free are like, yo, yo, what's up, yo? And they all dap it up and shit. And AJ's like, or Freeze, no, AJ was like, yo, yo, you just won that cool $1 million. What are you gonna buy? And of course, this clown goes, well, you know, I was thinking I might get me a Bentley, maybe some ice. And AJ and Free go in the crowd, ah, yeah. And you just think, like, so many young black kids are watching this. Imagine if that guy would have said, well, wait a minute, AJ, let me tell you. First of all, right off the bat, out of that $1 million, Uncle Sam's going to take a third of it. So I'm going to only get about 600,000. Right? Then, after I pay all the agents and all the other people that were involved, I might have another 500,000, maybe less. If I were to buy even a used Bentley, that would be about $200,000. And ICE, the chains that we buy, are basically worthless outside of the gold that's inside them. Soon as you take that fucking chain outside the store, you're not going to get even half of it, half of what you paid if you try to sell all those diamonds. Look at this, a chocolate diamond. No, that's a flawed diamond, you dumbass. But after that, you're going to be left with next to nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 600 grand and immediately I'm going to put it into an account that gains interest on it. So it's already making me money. Then I'm going to, I'm going to be frugal. I need a new car, so I'm going to buy me a real cheap car. I'm going to, pay off my rent for another. I might even buy a shitty house because the housing market was bad at the time. Buy me a little house that I can be safe in and not have to worry about things. Put up enough money that I can pay the taxes on it for a few years. And then I'm going to take whatever I have left and invest in some sort of businesses to try to make myself more money. Because $1 million is his shit. Can you imagine if that guy would have said that to those impressionable black kids that were watching? Nope. Jewish is not a race, folks. He could be Middle Eastern at best. No, Jesus was a Jew. I wouldn't be surprised if you took a DNA test and you report Jewish. Well, the funny thing is, DNA testing is banned in Israel because none of them have Semitic roots. They did a recent study that showed 95% of those tested did not have Semitic roots. They were from places like Ukraine, places like Poland, places like Europe and America. A lot of them are from the United States. They are the least Semitic people in the world. So that term anti-Semitic means you oppose the Palestinians, the Iranians, the Syrians, the Semitic people. Semitism, on the other hand, this is my favorite portion of the educational aspect. So this is the only time I do this, where I show you guys exactly what's happening, so there's no crybaby. So Semitism definition, okay? Merriam-Webster.com, Semitism definition. Okay, Merriam-Webster.com, Semitism definition. Semitism, no funny business.
Semitism.
We're on the Semitism page. Number 1A, Semitic character or qualities. Number 1B, characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language. Number 2, policy or predisposition favorable to friars. Policy or predisposition favorable to friars. No one else has a word like that. Policy, APAC Policy Conference. The one event each year that has more government officials than anything but the State of the Union address, which they're required to be at. Outside of the State of the Union, you can't get as many government officials to vote, to join this, to do that. The next thing that has, the most amount of people is the APAC Policy Conference, where in 2016, I think it's in April, before the presidency, both Donald and Hillary were guest speakers at the APAC Policy Conference that year. Neither one of them said anything bad about each other, and both pledged their allegiance to Israel, strangely enough. The APAC Policy Conference, where APAC is deciding policy for the United States. It's not even hidden. It's right in front of you, right? They like put it out there and then dare you to say something so they can call you, that's anti-Semitism. And because you're too stupid, you haven't looked, you never noticed that it's ANTI hyphen SEMITISM. That means it's two words put together. You know what anti means? You ever thought to look up what Semitism means? To prevent that from happening, in 2020, they had hearings to officially change the spelling of the word. I've never heard of that happening for any other word. But they officially changed the spelling from ANTI hyphen capital SEMITISM to ANTI SEMITISM, all one word, no capitals, because they didn't want us to think that anti-Semitism opposed something called Semitism. They did not want us to know that Semitism was a thing. Do you understand how fucked up that is? It's just us and the rocks spinning 1,000 miles per hour into oblivion together, celebrate our evolutionary brilliance and worship human dignity, and we'll be fine. Yeah, no. We're not on a ball spinning around. Come on. That's just silly. That's just silly. And why would you believe it? It's the same people telling you all this other shit that you think is a lie. Why would you believe the fucking earth is round when you can't experience it? You have no fucking idea. If you weren't told that you were on a ball flying through space, you would think you weren't. You'd think you were in some sort of snow globe. Oh. What about all the other balls? What about all the other balls? What are you talking about? What other balls do you see? Have you ever been on an airplane? Yeah, you can't see the curvature from the fucking plane. Horizon rises to your eye level no matter how high you go. The little curvature you can see are because the windows in the plane are curved. They have to be. It has to do with pressure and shit. You can't just have the flat window. They have to be slightly curved at the edges or they'd break. But hey, you know this because you've looked into it. And it's crazy that you think you can see other balls. You can't. You see lights in the sky. You see circles. If you look through a telescope at stars, it looks like when you're standing outside of a pool at nighttime and you look down into the water at the light that's in the, on the wall, and it ripples and shit. That's what it looks like. See, the funny thing is when it gets to the point where you get in the same position to where you can't actually debunk what I say, you immediately turn into one of them. Why is it? How are we all programmed to respond the same way? If I'm wrong, then just tell me what I'm wrong about. Why is it always so hard for people to back up what they say? You know, when you guys disagree with me or say something stupid, I don't sit there and go, what the fuck? Oh, fuck that. You're just crazy. Blah, blah. I try to address it as much as I can. Well, I messaged earlier, but I keep getting overwritten by these bots. I've been here at least 45 minutes so far. Anyway, you have plans later. Right on. Your Y-O-U-R just broke as fuck. Y-O-U-R just broke as fuck. Gotcha, bud. What is a star? A light in the sky. The fuck do you? It's a ball. Oh god. So you guys, should we do the Big Bang? Let's do the Big Bang. So let's talk about what all of you believe, right? So funniest thing is, most of you Christians believe this too, which is weird because it goes completely against your belief structure. But You believe that at one point, everything that you can see everywhere. And you also believe that we're in this infinite universe. So everything that you can't see, I mean, you know, you can't even fathom how big this planet is. You can't even, and the sun is 400 times the size of the earth, and yada, 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 all that other shit. All of it. All the universes, or all the galaxies, all the suns, all the stars, all the planets, all the everything, all the trees and leaves, everything was being pushed by magical gravity, because in this situation, gravity is crushing everything down into something, quote, smaller than a match head. Now, just like with Jesus, you're not allowed to ask, like, was the match head in the big empty warehouse, or did the match head also create the warehouse? Did Jesus just appear? Did God just appear in the big empty warehouse and then start farting out galaxies and shit? Or, you know, did God also create the big empty universe? And if so, what was here before that? Right? I mean, pretty stupid when you think about it, but okay. So everything is condensed down and it's being pushed and it's pushed and it's pushed and it's pushed until it explodes. Because that's what happens. When you push down on something and you crunch it down and you just crunch it and crunch it, it explodes. And what they say is there's the flash, then there's the dark part, which must be all the fucking I don't know. And then the star creation materials start shooting out. And we know this because if you look in a telescope in the right direction, you can basically see back in time, apparently. And when they show you like, it'll be like a tube that comes down and then it condenses down into the Big Bang. But it's like a drastic into the Big Bang. But you have to think, like, that goes in every direction. So how does that work? Like with a tube, maybe it works, but not if it's everywhere. But so the thing explodes, and now it's spewing out debris in every direction. Now, this is where you got to use your think, right? If something is as small as a match head, by the time you get to the point where the particles, like it would be exploded into the size of, say, the Earth, those particles that were all next to each other when it initially exploded would be very far apart. Eventually, everything would just be so far away from each other, nothing would be connected. It would just be a huge, there'd be a stardust piece every so often, right? But that's not how that happens. So the gravity that was crushing everything has now changed up its form a little bit. And now it's formed a bunch of swirly whirlpools out in space. And those swirly whirlpools start collecting stardust and bringing it into the middle of the swirly pool where it condenses it, and each individual piece is pressed into one larger piece, like Pee Wee Herman's foil ball, right? And eventually, the star gets to its desired point, because, like, according to the narrative, our sun is huge compared to us. But if it's sitting next to Betelgeuse, you can't even see our sun, because Betelgeuse is so much bigger than our sun. So it's not like there's a standard size. It just gets to the size it wants to get to. And then at that point, it lights itself on perpetual nuclear fission fire forever. It's in the vacuum of space. There's no air. But this thing is now a fucking furnace of fire. And crazy enough, in the empty vacuum of space, it has a north and a south pole somehow. And so now gravity changes its form again. And now this fireball now shoots out rings in a flat, like a fried egg. They're not rings all in different directions because, again, there's a top and a bottom somehow. So right in the middle, in concentric rings, there's new swirly whirlpools. And these swirly whirlpools are also caught in a perpetual, not a swirly whirlpool one, but just in a perpetual sort of going around the sun, the star. And these swirly whirlpools, they collect stardust that pushes itself in on itself. And then eventually, like in the case of the Earth, the inside of it lights itself on fire. And of course, even though we can only drill 8 miles down, we know that the Earth is a jello mold, so to speak. So you have the inner core, the outer core, the inner mantle, the outer mantle, the blah, 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 and then the crust on the outside. We can't even get through the crust, but we know that it's a bunch of layers like that. And it's funny, too, because, we deem this the subniveous zone is the distance that a planet can be where life can exist. And Earth, it just happens to be in that. Now, on a sidebar, this requires just a little bit of thought here. But if I were to have a rock, right? Say it was a rock the size of a golf ball. And I was swinging it on a string around. If I were to have a rock the size of, say, a bowling ball, the same string spinning around wouldn't be able to hold that bowling ball as it would a rock, right? The bigger the object, the more force needs to be exerted on it to hold it there. And the rings are basically, the planet rings, are basically them being caught in the force, because if that force wasn't pulling it towards the sun, it would fly off into space. That's, the Earth is going around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. That is fast. That would require a lot of force. Now, interestingly, something that doesn't really get talked about anymore, but they used to tell us that Jupiter and Saturn were gas giants. And if you look up what they say, they supposedly have a small rocky core and then a huge layer of compressed hydrogen. And then the outside shell is super compressed hydrogen. That's what they say. I mean, when they showed us the supposed video of the comet smashing into Jupiter, sure looked like it was hitting solid ground to me, but what the fuck do I know? Like, they forget to keep consistency with these displays they give us. But
Boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider.
girls go to Mars to get more candy bars. If you think about the amount of force that would have to be on Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, to hold those planets that are supposedly way bigger than the Earth in their position. And it's a magic force. It's a force that's keeping it connected to the sun, because if it wasn't, it would go flying off. Well, how do the smaller objects in between the sun and the Jupiter not get sucked in by the tremendous force that would have to be on them to hold Jupiter in place? Right, now this is probably too smart for a lot of you, right? But if you just think about it, give it a thought, give it a minute. It doesn't might make much sense. But so in Earth's case, get the molten core and then the outside. And one day it just starts raining for reasons. And it keeps on raining and raining until most of the Earth is covered up. And then one day I mean, I guess lots of days, rocks fall out of the sky back then. It used to happen all the time back then. A rock falls out of the sky, and on that rock is a single-celled organism that survives the crash and is now in the water. And that single-celled organism multiplies into a double-celled and triple, and eventually it turns into, I don't know, everything in the water. All of the different water creatures. And apparently, somehow, all of the trees and bugs and shit outside the water, too. I mean, where would those come from? Those had to come from somewhere. And one day, two fish, it'd have to be two fish, it'd have to be a boy and a girl fish, had to be standing at the edge of the horizon for them. Like, it's the same thing as thinking, like, a man and a woman are standing at the edge of the water, and they go, you know what? We can do it. We can go live in the water. And they just go out into the water, and they can somehow breathe water, and they start repopulating the water with fish people, you know. But that's basically what happened. Two fish, I guess, decide to come out of the water, and they can somehow breathe. And they're, holy shit, this is great. There's no predators. It's all lush and beautiful. Why don't we just stay out here? And then they start having babies, who have babies, who have babies, who have babies, who have babies. And eventually they turn into dinosaurs. Yeah. Dinosaurs. Which also inhabit the sea. And also, get this, they learn how to fly. Yeah. Some of those dinosaurs learn how to fly. And these dinosaurs are gigantic. The Brontosaurus is bigger than anything you can even think about, which is strange because they say the biggest land mammal can't get much bigger than an elephant because the weight would be too much for its legs and its stomach. The weight of its stomach would fall out. The skin wouldn't be able to hold, like they said. But the Brontosaurus, I mean, you saw Fred sliding on that motherfucker, dun, 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 right? Brontosauruses and Triceratopsuses and Raptortursuses and T-Rexuses and all these different dinosaurs come from these two fish. And I would imagine a whole bunch of other little shit too, right? There had to be a bunch of little creatures. That's what they tell us. And it goes this way for hundreds of millions of years. Until one day, another rock falls out of the fucking sky, which, by the way, we are long overdue for. So, hey, another death, doom, and gloom thing for you to worry about. A rock might fall out of the sky. We're long overdue for a rock falling out of the sky and wiping everything out. Because that's what happened to the dinosaurs. They wipe everything out. It turns the earth into ice ball earth. And for millennia, the earth is an ice ball. Meaning everything had to fucking die. Everything had to die. You can't have life. I mean, I guess they say there are microorganisms beneath the Arctic shelf, but that's all stuff you just have to trust them on, so whatever. Eventually, the earth melts, and apparently maybe it's either some sort of organism survived, or another rock falls out of the sky with some life on it. But this time, after the water gets all filled up with creatures, obviously, the fish come out and they start banging, and this time, instead of making giant dinosaurs, they end up making giraffes and hippopotamuses and fucking tigers and lions and pigs and chickens and you name it, right? They end up making all these different smaller creatures, which happen to taste delicious. And they also make monkeys and monkeys and chimps. And then one day, the chimps, somewhere between 180 and 300,000 years ago, there's the missing link, which means we can't find it. we have this theory, but we can't prove it because there's literally no evidence for it. So it's the missing link. Like you think it's like Encino Man. No, it's the thing that links the narrative together is missing. But at one point, the chimps, they just decide to evolve into humans. Tigers don't evolve into tiger humans and you know, pig humans and wolf humans and all that. Nope. Everything sort of stays within its thing, but chimps turn into men, and then men live the way they do for the last 178,000 years. Like, it just depends on what part of the narrative you want to believe. If you want to believe that somehow in the late 1800s and early 1900s, we built everything, then you can believe that. But that means up until that point, we basically lived the same way. And then somewheres around the 1800s or so, we started to figure it out. And here we are, roughly 200 years later, and we fucking know. We know it all. We know the Big Bang. We know, you know, how a nebula exists because the stars, the dust is in a nebula stage. So that means in millions of years, it will have swirled itself into a new star. Funniest thing is, somehow we've mapped the stars. Like, think about what that took. Think about some peasants sitting in a field somewhere. And they're like, all right, it's our job to map the stars. So, okay, you see that one? That one? Yeah, that one. The one right there next to the one that's like this. Wait, which one? Imagine how difficult it would have been to map the stars. But somehow they were able to map the stars. Everybody has the same star maps, you know, same constellations, same bullshit. Chinese are different, but this universal sort of, we all just sort of figured this out. And now we have it all figured out. I mean, that's just, that's the Big Bang. I hate to say it, but the religious fucking shit makes more sense than the Big Bang, and the religious shit makes no sense at all. Isn't it interesting how no star, even though we've mapped all the stars and all that shit somehow, no stars ever go out? No, we never get any new stars, and no stars ever go out. And yet, the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, going around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. The solar system is moving through the galaxy at 100,000 miles per hour. The galaxy is moving through the universe at upwards of 1,000,000 miles per hour. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's also stupid. You have to have a hell of a lot more faith to believe that shit than you do even religion. Like, I never thought I would say that shit. It hurt me to say it for the first time. Religion makes more sense when it comes to that shit than the dumbass Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory is dumb as the show. It really is stupid. And I hate saying it, you know. I always hated it because I never wanted Christians to have that leg up in the conversation. Not realizing Christians are too stupid to have it. I had somebody on here yesterday again who is a like a ardent fucking believer. Like she was very much manipulated as a kid and just whatever. She's a big time believer. She told me to read Psalm number 9. The first line in the psalm talks about something under the firmament, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, so wait, do you believe the earth is round? And she was like, well, I don't know, what's a firmament? She's asking me what the firmament is. The firmament, I believe, is mentioned 17 times in the Bible, I think. It's the very first thing God does after it turns on the light. And most of you Christians have no idea what the fuck it even is. How is that possible? How do you identify as something and you're so ignorant that you don't even know what the first fucking thing says? The very first thing God does. You don't know it. You don't even know what the fuck it means. And I asked, like, did you just your whole life just not know what that word meant? And you were like, okay, it's fine. I mean, the whole thing is just so fucking dumb. What's the firmament? Yeah, right. For those that don't know, the firmament is the indestructible dome that your God makes to separate the waters of heaven from the earth down below. The Bible literally tells you right off the bat that, you know, there's a dome. It's not a round ball. Hey, how come Jesus didn't say that? How come Jesus wasn't like, oh yeah, by the way, the earth is just one of many planets, not just in the solar system, but in the universe. And you know, the earth revolves around the sun, not the other way around, blah, 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 blah. How come Jesus didn't say that? How come they said the opposite? If anybody wonders why I don't respond to certain comments, it's because those people have already proven to be pedo weirdos. And so we just ignore them. You know, and the earth shape argument is easily one of the biggest, best distractions that they give us. Because at the end of the day, none of us can prove any of it. Right? We're just going to sit here and argue. People like me who argue from a factual perspective, and people like you who argue from an emotional perspective. But there's no, you know. Like, I used to believe what you believe. You know, I used to believe that shit. And it was hard for me to get over that. I did not want, like, I went into it thinking, I can't believe so many people believe this shit. I know I'm going to be smart enough to debunk it. Pretty much like I do with everything else. When it comes to religion, when it comes to history, all that shit. Basically, all you have to do is watch what's presented and or listen or read what's presented and see if it makes sense. They literally all this shit like Tourette syndrome, amnesia, sleep sickness, you know, so many of the things that we all think of as, you know, just human conditions, hysteria, dementia, all these things. For some reason, even though we were always obsessed with biology and the mind and alchemy and all these other things, they were never talked about. Nobody in history ever talks about somebody who, you know, couldn't control the words that came out of their mouth, even though they were, you know, in a position of power. They would, fuck that shit, fuck bitch, you know. Tourette syndrome is not accounted for until the 1800s, 1880s. And surprisingly, a lot of those things are attributed to one like small group of French scientists, French psychiatrists. Tourette syndrome is named after the one scientist, patient or intern or some stupid. But every one of these mental things that exist coincides with them introducing pokes into the fucking society. Especially the sleep sickness that lasted from 1916 to 1929. The movie Awakenings is about that shit. It's actually one of the craziest stories in the that ever existed, and nobody really talks about it. You know? And we went literally from 1916, it sort of appears, and it shuts off and it goes away in 1929. Just just as the fucking market's crashing and all that shit, suddenly people start waking up and people stop falling asleep. Just it's on like clockwork. And those people wake up and think it was, the day after they went to sleep. They have no idea what happened to them. In 1915, 3 of the main pokes that they gave, I can't remember what they are, but I think they're still in use today. They came up with 3 different pokes the year before everybody started having all these weird neurological, this thing happened to them. I need to watch Awakenings again. I can remember it, but I need to watch it again. I mean, it's crazy how, again, don't you think it's strange that nobody's actually addressing what's being said? They're complaining about what I'm saying. All right? They're bitching, but they're not addressing or debunking. Isn't that weird? As weird as me having 10 viewers and 20 likes on a feed with 2,500 plus subscribers. Does it make sense that the more likes I get, the less viewers I get? Does that make sense? The more you guys share this, the less views I get. How does that fucking work? Outside of clear censorship. And I think that leads us into the next part of the discussion. Is something, I know there's a lot of people that think you talk about the same things. Because I've refined this. I might discover some new shit here and there. But what I talk about is there's going to be people that are new here. And they haven't heard it before. And they need to. Right? So one of the most important things you guys need to realize is act.il. I just can't stress this enough. Act.il is a social networking service. Look, page is all locked up. Can't edit it. Social networking service used by supporters of Israel to oppose online, quote, anti-Israel content, such as the boycott, divestments, and sanction movement. So just like they say that anything that's anti-Israel is actually anti-friar, they push that narrative more than anyone else. Apply that here. So instead of them saying anything that's anti-BDS, anything that opposes them even slightly is the better way to put it. Its activities were referred to as, quote, an online propaganda campaign and, quote, a virtual situation room of pro-Israel experts. I'd recommend the book Intensely. L-Dopa needs reading about. Yeah, I'd like to know who published it. Oh, I lost a like. Who's liked what I've said so far and then heard me start reading about this and we're like, I don't like this anymore. Its activities were... This is where you really have to pay attention to the words that are used here. Remember, Naftali Bennett said that they control Wikipedia. Act.il directed its users to, quote, missions to like, comment on, and share pro-Israel material on social media. I have liked what you said. That's why I stay quiet. Don't want the bots distracting me. That's what it happens, man. These tiny hats. Yeah, it's terrible. Hold on. I'll check my copy. Dude, give me a minute. It also asked users to flag, report, and respond to criticisms of Israel. Users were guided how to respond, which might entail writing a reply using the provided talking points. That's such an important phrase right there. They're telling them exactly what to say. That's why they come in here and they all say the same things. That's delusional. You're schizophrenic. Take your meds is such a popular slogan for them. They actually made a South Park episode about it. The Cupid Yee episode. Sorry, I just got distracted. Cartman, it's Valentine's Day. And normally, the Cupid character, apparently, is a naked version of Cartman because South Park thinks it's hilarious to draw little kid penises all the time. It's a naked Cartman. And apparently, Cupid Me, as Cartman calls him, hasn't been taking his medication. And now he's Cupid Yee, stupid Yee, Cupid Yee, Kanye. And he has a jacket on and he has a hat on sideways. And he is telling everyone how Kyle controls Hollywood. Which is so weird because 1998, they made Hollywoodism, which will be the second link in the description of this video when I'm done. If you need it, go to a previous video, and you can find it now. But if you just wait, it'll be at the end. I have to do it that way or they fuck up my feed. But Hollywoodism, made in 1998, by them top to bottom, from writers, producers, starring. It's like a documentary type of a film about how, not necessarily how they built Hollywood, but that they somehow created Hollywood, ran it with an iron fist, still do to this day, and that's about it. And how they used Hollywood to create the narrative that they wanted. Essentially, you could say the American dream is the Freya dream, is said twice that I can think of in the movie. They wanted us to be the goyim that they needed us to be, and they used Hollywood to create it. It's a flex. When they say they created Hollywood and they control Hollywood, that's okay. If anyone else says it, well, that's anti-Semitism and that's a trope and blah, 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 blah. All stupid shit. So Cupid Yee is going around telling everyone that Kyle controls Hollywood. And the whole point of the episode is to get Cupid Yee to take his meds. Take your meds, Yee. Take your meds, Karen. Take your meds. Says it over and over again. Eventually, they catch him. Cartman catches him, forces a little blue pill in his mouth. And when he swallows it, his jacket and hat disappear. And as the pill's getting pushed in his mouth, he goes, "No, man, these pills control my mind." And that's the last thing he says. And it's literally, they're clearly controlling his mind. They're showing you that the pills make you go from questioning things to tee-hee, and back to being regular Cupid, distracted by love. Tee-hee. It's literally it's their only weapon, really. That's why if you can't show me a video online of talking heads having a reasonable, intelligent conversation about Israel, about friarism, about any of it, and they're talking with somebody that questions or challenges them, like the Candace Owens and Shmuley interview. That dude is a nutcase. He can't answer a question to save his life. And he says stupid shit, and then he goes, "See, yep, that's what you said. You said that, so thank you very much." He says shit like you could. It's the same thing that happens on my feed. That's why I'll never take meds and pills again. Well, again, you can have shit wrong with you. It's not about breaking from the system. It's about fixing the system. Medicine, there are lots of people with chemical imbalances, with with physical, needs and whatnot. You can't just do that. Like, the thing I wouldn't fuck with is psych meds, but again, there are people that literally, like, there's something wrong with them. Bipolar and shit like that. Again, all stuff that seemingly got diagnosed in the 1800s. Supplements are the only exception due to my many issues. It sucks, man. The app also provided users with ready-made memes promoting Israel's perspective for them to share. By completing missions, users earned points, unlocked badges, and had their scores displayed on leaderboards. It is still prizes, actually. The badges are prizes in smaller ways than we think, because I think we got ahead of ourselves and thought that they were just going to be generous and paying people with, extravagant prizes. But we forget who we're dealing with. So apparently some of the prizes just included like a little doll and shit. But the badges are more stripes. Stripes on the uniform. And the more stripes you have, the higher up in the organization you are. Which can lead to more opportunities and whatnot. But from what they say, the vast, vast majority of the 40,000 plus interface doesn't ever reach anywhere. They're just doing it to gain favor, and because they're bored and because they're nasty. And when you rate people from 3 years old in one day to 12 years old in one day, and probably before and after that as well, you create MK Ultra type psychopaths that have so much anger and hatred built up inside them that they need to let it out. And to take it out on us piece of shit goy, it's not an issue for them. According to Plus 972, Act.io was the centerpiece of a digital campaign called For Israel, or For IL, or For Israel, announced in 2017 by Gilad Erdan, then Minister of Strategic Affairs, for the promotion of Israel and the delegitimization of boycott, divestments, and sanctions, or BDS. Again, pay attention to this wording. The Act.il app would assign users missions to challenge social media posts it considered to be critical of Israel or in favor of the BDS movement. It literally has missions in quotation marks. Erdan called it an Iron Dome of Truth. That's why I'm saying these guys aren't fucking here because they're, they just stumbled across my feed and then they come here every single day for hours at a time, trying everything they can to get attention for some of the worst things. Talking shit to the guy that thinks we should kill pedos and overthrow them. These people are fucking crazy. And you think they're just regular old friars, Sunday morning, got nothing else going on, they're here? That's what they do? They start their day every day spending hours on something they hate so much? No, it's people trying to get more points. Trying to get better badges. Act.io was a joint project of the private Israeli university IDC Herzliya and the US-based Israeli American Council. The Maccabee Task Force. Remember, we talked about the Maccabees. You'll hear them all the time talk about, we are the people of the Maccabees and yada yada. Maccabee is a huge thing for them. The Maccabee Task Force, one of Sheldon Adelson. The Adelsons, the people that basically control Trump, gave Trump $100 million for his campaign. You've seen the video with Miriam Adelson. I gotta show it. Fuck it, I gotta show it. It's such a fucking crazy video. Trump and Miriam Adelson. Let's see.
That they kept promising. I never understood it until I got there. There was a lot of pressure put on these presidents. It was put on me too, but I didn't yield to the pressure. But every president for
We're gonna stand in
decades
front of
said,
that flag.
we're going to do it. The difference is I kept my promise and officially recognized the capital of Israel.
How did they know what he was going to say before he was going to say it? They started clapping before he finished, before he even actually said what he was saying. Isn't that weird? It's almost like it's fake.
Isn't that right, Miriam? Look at Miriam. She's back there. Stand up, Miriam. Stand up.
Miriam doesn't stand up because she doesn't do what Trump tells her to do. Trump does what she says.
Miriam and Sheldon would come into the office. They'd call me. He'd call me. I think they had more trips to the White House than anybody else I can think of. Look at her sitting there so innocently. She's got 60 billion in the bank. 60 billion.
60 billion.
And I think she's saying no more. And she loves Israel. She loves it. And they would come in, and her husband was a very aggressive man, but I loved him. He was a very aggressive, very. He'd call up, can I come over and see
I like
you?
me.
Say, Sheldon, I'm the president of the United States. It doesn't work that way. He'd come in, but they
because
were
Secret
very
Service and
responsible
shit,
for
that
so
doesn't
much,
matter.
including getting me thinking about Golan Heights, which is probably one of the greatest things to ever happen.
Probably one of the greatest things to ever happen was Trump signing the Golden Heights over to Israel. It's one of the greatest things to ever happen.
Miriam, stand up, please. She really is.
Now he says, Miriam, stand up, please, and so she stands up. You see that? Now she stands up because he said, please.
Her and her husband are so incredible. We miss him so dearly. But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once, I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel, I must say.
Look at him.
We love you. Thank you, darling, for being here.
What is he fucking doing? He shouldn't be saying that shit. What the fuck?
She is a great woman.
Right? The Adelsons. Sheldon Adelson. Sheldon Adelson gave us Israel Hayom, the other article I was talking about. You know, that exposes the fucking pedophilia. But one of Sheldon Adelson's foundations is a major funder of ACT.IL. The organization behind ACT.IL is staffed by former intelligence officers and has a collegial relationship with the Israeli intelligence community. It had a close relationship with Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs, which combats the BDS movement, which it views as a threat. This used to end here. It used to say, according to Mendo Weiss, an email sent in March 2022 to the app's users announced that the app will be shut down, but that users should continue to interact with ACT.IL's content on its other social media platforms. So from March of 2022 till recently, they had to cover the trail, right? They didn't want people realizing they were orchestrating the October 7th false flag where no Israelis died or were taken hostage outside of those in the Hannibal Directive, right? They didn't want the paper trail. Now it ends with, this happened about 8 weeks ago. The application was relaunched in early 2026 under the name Rise App, R-I-S-E-A, capital A-P-P, all one word, with the former ACT.IL owners partnering with Reichman University for the release and also transferring the former ACT.IL user base of 40,000 plus to the new service, right? You guys see this? This is the most important thing right now, and people just don't understand. They just don't understand. It's fucking terrifying, man. It's terrifying. So I was looking this up. Because when you combine all of the right now stuff happening, you have to remember again, most of us thought that we're told that we're forced to regurgitate that the friars were the most victimized people in the world. The Holocaust happened, and because of which, we owe them everything. And that all happened, 42 to, 41 to 45 is when they supposedly did the whole 6 million was 41 to 45. Makes sense. That's so many people per day that would have to be dealt with. But that's what we all believed, is that it was, 45, and then in 48, Israel was created. And you'll hear people talk about it like that's the Nakba, that's the catastrophe started, but it didn't. And then you hear more advanced people talk about, oh yeah, you're right. No, it's the Balfour Declaration of 1916. But that's the Rothschild Declaration for one. They just put Balfour's name on it, so it wasn't so obvious, right? But it's the Balfour Declaration is nothing. It's nothing. Because you have to go to the auto emancipation pamphlet, which is a halfway point, right? So auto emancipation is a pamphlet written anonymously in German by a Russian Polish friar doctor who was only a doctor because he got his law degree but wasn't allowed to practice law in Russia because he was in Russia. So he decided to become a doctor instead, because that's just how things work. An activist, Leon Pinsker, in 1882. Now, again, this thing appears in 1882. It's attributed to Leon Pinsker later, like after his death and shit. It is considered a founding document of modern friar nationalism, especially Zionism. But that's just modern. Because prior to 1882, it's just called Proto-Zionism. You just don't, they break it up. That's why they do the different Aliyah waves. So it sounds like it's different occurrences. It's all the same shit. But if they can confuse you and they can make as many little pit stops as possible, you're going to take a lot longer time to get to the destination. Pinsker discussed the origins of anti-Semitism and argued for friar self-rule and the development of a friar national consciousness. He wrote that friars would never become the social equals of Goyim until they had a state of their own. He called on friar leaders to convene and address the problem. In the pamphlet, he describes anti-friar attacks as a psychosis, a pathological disorder, and an irrational phobia. Not or, and. So if you question or deny or anything their supremacy, what they have to say, Semitism, if you don't give them Semitism, it's because you have a psychosis, a pathological disorder, and an irrational phobia. You're mental. You're schizophrenic. It's all schizophrenia also appears at the same time. But it's the shoot the messenger thing, not the message. It's ad hominem. That's not ad hominem. Hominem. I'm a demon. Shit was so funny. I gotta play that thing. I gotta play it. I gotta play this. This is just funny as fuck. Why isn't this working? It doesn't want me to look at this. Apparently. Here, let's try this. Maybe if I just click on the link. Here it is.
DraftKings Casino gave your spins an upgrade with new Flex Spins. Forget one game.
5 years ago, I
this
investigated
isn't
an Israeli.
All right. Where is the one I watched? There it is.
To the streets to demolish. You just made a blood libel against the Jewish state.
The blood libel.
Dresden
We
was
can't
one
keep doing it. So comfortable as a Christian with the amount of more explosives miles wide. It's incredibly, and for light and light for directly to you, lies that you are telling.
And okay, thank you. And of course, Pierce, there was nothing ad hominem about my being demonic. This is a 2-1 debate. I expect
To when we call something radical Zionism.
Okay, Rabbi Shmurley. Okay, and okay, thank you. And of course, Pierce, there was nothing ad hominem about my being demonic. This is a 2-1 debate.
God, he's so fucking dumb. Oh, he's so dumb. Alright. Beach and manic mantras, right? They're just dumb. It's fucking silly. I love it when a plan comes together. Alright. So again, they give you these narratives, like, again, all of us, I had no idea. I was yesterday years old, or maybe 2 days ago years old, when I knew that, when I first figured out that they were averaging about 10 to 15,000 per year colonizing Palestine. They'd been doing it the whole time, right? And I started reading about these different aliyahs that they claim. And aliyah is the return to Israel, I guess. A return meaning like them returning, not individual returns. It's all control with illusion of choice. People need to get off their meds and see through the illusions. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. Look at this guy. He smokes so much he can barely keep his eyes open, and we're going to sit here and believe the garbage that comes out of him. Yep, barely keep my eyes open for sure. For sure. All right, so the Pale of Settlement was something that I came across, and it just seemed interesting, so I was going to read about it. I have no idea what it says, right? Who's a follower now? The guy that's looking to figure it out for himself, or the guy that just believes what he's told? Which one? The Pale of Settlement was a western region of the Russian Empire with varying borders that existed from 1791 to 1917, in which permanent residency by friar subjects was allowed, and outside of which friar residency, permanent or temporary, was mostly forbidden. Oh yeah, so that was it. That was one of the things. So when you're looking at the Aliyah narratives, they always talk about how their waves seem to coincide with, disasters, with economic disaster. So an economic disaster comes to a region before they make the wave, then they show up, and as everything's rebuilt, it's rebuilt for them, and then years later, there's another crash, another economic disaster. All the housing gets super cheap, everything. So then more of them come in, and then everything sort of balances out. And then it goes, and then there's another crash, and then everybody comes in. Like it's really obvious how they do this, right? And so that's what this Pale of Settlement narrative reminds me of. Most friars were still excluded from residency in a number of cities with the Pale as well. A few friars were allowed to live outside the area, including those with university education. How do they have university education if they're being so discriminated against? God damn, it's just so stupid. Yeah, Albert Pike, I don't know about all that. Like, Albert Pike narrative is interesting. But Albert Pike is too popular. It's obviously something that they've wanted us to look into. You know, so I don't know. That's an interesting one. You know, let's break here for a second and look into that real quick. I'm almost done anyway. I'm actually really close to done. I'm fucking exhausted. Albert Pike was an American. I've looked him up before. December 29th, 1809 to April 2nd, 1891. Was an American author, poet, orator, editor, lawyer, jurist, right, and Confederate State Army general who served as an associate justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court in exile from 1864 to 1865. He had previously served as a senior officer of the Confederate States Army, commanding the District of Indiana Territory in the Trans-Mississippi Theater. A prominent member of the Freemasons, Pike served as the Sovereign General Commander of the Supreme Council Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction from 1859 to 1891. I mean, it sounds like it's feasible if you look at shit from today's perspective, right? But when you think about it, like, you know, this guy, this is the 1800s. This is the early 1800s, mid 1800s. How was he traveling around? You know, in this picture, he looks like he's had a shower and shit. Like, he doesn't look like he's disheveled in any means. You know, what were the printing presses like back then? How as an author of books and whatnot, how did that work? Because it's really hard to get that shit done today. What was it like back then? How did you get a book printed out? Early life and education. Pike was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Massachusetts. People say that shit. Oh, yep, get help. I need to get help because I'm reading things, historical stuff. How dare I read historical stuff? Oh, man. Of all the people you should be trying to stop, it's somebody that's reading historical stuff. Oh. How many people believed Orson Welles' War of the Worlds as it was broadcast? Seriously. And they even said twice throughout the broadcast that this was a fake. This is just a show. This isn't real. They said it twice and people still believed it. Lost their shit. I mean, recently, you remember TikTok apocalypse? People were selling off all their shit, giving shit away, selling their shit for dirt cheap because some African fucking guy that nobody had ever heard of had a dream, and somehow that him telling his I had a dream story about Jesus said that apocalypse is going to happen here, and he gained millions of followers and shit like overnight. You think that just happens organically? He is the son of Benjamin and Sarah Andrews Pike. Huh. His parents are Benji, or Bibby, and Sarah. Both of which aren't blue, so we don't get to look up who they actually were. Boston residents named Benjamin and Sarah. Like, as far as friar names go, doesn't get much more common than those. Benjamin and Sarah. He grew up in Byfield and Newburyport, Massachusetts. His colonial ancestors had settled the area in in 1635 and included John Pike, 1613 through to 1688 or 1689, not sure. And included, the founder of Woodbridge, New Jersey. Woodbridge, New Jersey. What do you think the likelihood that Woodbridge, New Jersey is a large friar population at this point? I love the population figures. 1790, 3,520. 1810, 4,247. 1820, 4,226. Actually, less people. 1830, 3,969. Even less people. Then from 1840, it jumps up 21% to 4,821 people. Sounds like the orphan trains are starting to run, huh? 1850, 531. 1860, it drops down to 3,987. Wonder what happened there. And then 1870, it's another 3,717. Interesting. 1880, 4,099. 1890, 4,665. 1900, 7,631. Boy, that's a huge jump. 1910, 8,948. Another huge jump. 1920, 13,423. That's a 50% jump there. 1930, an 88% jump to 25,266. 1940, 27,191. 1950, 35,758, 35% jump. 1960, it jumps to 78,846, 120.5% jump in population in that 10 years from 1850 to 1860. Or maybe it's 1860 to 1870. I don't know how that's actually calculated. 1870, 98,000, 944, 1880, 90,000 goes down a little bit. 1890, 93,000, 2000, 97,000, 2010, 99,000, 2020, 103,000. What was that huge jump that happened in those spots? So, race, ethnicity, white, Black or African American, Native American or Alaskan Native, Asian, Pacific Islander, other race, mixed race or multiracial, Hispanic or Latino. We're not going to find anything that says anything about them. Man, it sure seems like white people and Asians somehow dominated. Why was the Asians such a big population here? That's really weird. White people, 77,000 in 1990. In 2000, 63,000. In 2010, 50,000. To 2020, 40,000. White people are going down while the Asian population is skyrocketing. Just under 5,000 in 1990. Jumps to 14,000 in 2000. 22,000 in 2010 and 27,000 in 2020. Asians are the big fucking minority population there, or majority population there in the 2020. It's really strange. I'm trying to see if it says anything about friars. I wonder where it is in relation to Lakewood. It doesn't say. There's a lot of significant famous people that came from this place. Though I don't recognize any of the names so far. John Pike. Wow, there are a lot of famous people from here. Or at least, like, notable people, I guess. That's fucking crazy. I want to see what the list... I wonder if I can find... It doesn't say the thing that Pike is... Like... It doesn't have it in here. It talks about the Freemasons. Pike first joined the Fraternal Independent Order of Oddfellows. That's a whole other different thing here. Carrie, good morning. I was just talking about you earlier. You're fascinating to me. It's more feasible than you think. The presses were good. Industrial Revolution, evolution. Yeah, I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. When you look at things like just the narrative that we're given, where these people, most of the time it's logistics. Logistics will kind of kill every argument, because you have to ask yourself how the materials, how they done. Can you hold this for a second?
Full of egg.
What the hell? Full of eggshell. You know what?
I just had to clean out the fridge because somebody that took a root beer out spilled the bone broth, and it went everywhere.
Awesome.
I had to pull the shelf out, take it.
Oh no, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yep.
You didn't have much going on anyway, so. I prefer it if you're busy, because if you're not busy.
It was either you or Nick. Nobody else drank root beers, so screw you both.
Well, I haven't gotten any root beers out. I put root
Must have
beers
been last
away.
night, because almost the whole fucking thing was empty.
Blame the brown guy. Actually, I'm gonna bounce. I wish you'd have gotten here earlier, Carrie, because you're fascinating to me, but I'm done. My throat hurts, so I'm gonna ask Angela what she does. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Check out the links in the description, and you